Coming up with new creations all the time can be absolutely exhausting, and it can also be a bit of a misuse of your time, because we already know that while creating product is amazing, we also want to make sure that the bulk of our time is really allocated to marketing and to reach, and that's how we're going to get the sales that we want. In today's video, we're going to be diving into 3 ways that you can essentially repurpose the work that you've got in order to be able to create some of that newness buzz. My name's Lena Broughton, and I'm the very proud owner of madeit.com.au, the leading handmade curated marketplace in Australia, which means that all of the artisans that are on the platform have gone through that application process so that we're really showcasing the best in handmade. Now, to add on to that as well, we have an incredible online learning space where we're able to teach you as handmade artisans, specifically handmade artisans, right, how you can simplify and amplify your journey with selling online. There are 2 categories that always get searched online first, and these 2 are free shipping. I know we've spoken about this before, and if you haven't looked into lots of the other videos but where I mentioned this, but free shipping is one of the most searched things that is online. But the second aspect is new. So customers have that idea that they're not wanting to pay extra for shipping. That's not the conversation we're having today. I know it's a much bigger one, but the second one is that they're looking for that newness, right? They want to go, oh, what's new? What's come in? What's fresh? But we don't want to be constantly having to feel like we've got to be creating all these new products when actually we may not have sold through on existing products. And also understanding that although something may be new or may not be new, right? But it's about what is the reach and what is the opportunity that you've actually given that product in the first place. So today we're going to be going through 3 different ways that you can really, I guess, refresh on products that you've currently got, and also just get a bit more strategic about how you're creating products so that you do have the opportunity to work on things that may be more seasonal or more topical, I want to say as well. Because let's say, for an example, you might have a product that you've got as a gift package, but how could you adjust it slightly to be suitable for, say, Father's Day as an example? So get ready, grab a pen and paper, or perhaps you want to grab a cup of tea and start crafting alongside, and let's check it out. The first way that I want to jump into is actually how you can restyle and rephotograph existing products. And what I would say with this is that when you're choosing to do this, because I think that we've got to be thinking about our resources, right? And one of the biggest resources that we have as a handmade artisan is our time. So if you're going to be rephotographing something and restyling something potentially, you want to make sure that it's something that's not a lemon. And look, how do you know if it's a lemon? I honestly want to say it's intuitively mostly that you go, oh, actually it was a bit of a lemon. And if something, say for an example, it's just perhaps it's not on brand with what you're creating, or perhaps, you know, the finished product really didn't work out how you thought it was, that's an opportunity to put that item on sale, right? And again, that may give it a little bit of extra reach as well, because sale is also one of those top categories that gets searched. But what I'm talking about here is it's like you may have an item that when you look back on it, you think, it just didn't even get the opportunity to actually take off. And how can I restyle and rephotograph it to give it that freshness? Now, if we're talking about a bit of a strategy for how you might want to do this, I wouldn't be looking at items that you've just photographed or perhaps you've just released. I'd be looking back earlier on, you know, if you can sort your products new to old, right? Have a look at your older products and have a look at some of them that you go, you know what, that is a beautiful piece. But those photos are really not giving it the opportunity that it needs. And again, if you haven't seen the video on how many images that you need when you're selling online, check that out as well, because that's going to give you a lot more detail about that. But this is a great opportunity for you to refresh that piece and bring it back up and give it a new breath of life. And it's not only in your product listing that you can do this, but it's also in social media. Now, if you're looking for ideas on this, right, and you know, I've shared this before, but Pinterest is such an incredible space for you to start for you to start searching ideas for how you can show your product in a different light. But one of the areas, and this isn't handmade, but a product area that I'm always fascinated by, that they're able to talk about one product endlessly, even though nothing new has happened. And it's in makeup. And it's just so interesting to me that, you know, it's like if a company does a red lipstick, right? But they know 1,000 different ways to talk about that one product. And often I find that for us as creatives, it's like we've got such a set idea of what the product is and how it's used that we're like, oh, well, that's what it is. And interestingly enough, this is where I think that you can have some play with restyling and reshooting a product, because it's about going, okay, have I actually connected with my customer in this moment? Like, did they know it was for them? And you know, a great way to find this out is to ask your customer, right? Ask them whether or not they're attracted to that photo. But look at the images that you're sharing and going, what's the story that I'm telling in this moment about this product? And how could I tell it differently? And you want to always make sure that when you're photographing and when you're presenting your product, that it's in alignment with your brand, because in order for you to become front of mind with a customer, which is literally our mission when it talks about marketing, we want customers to go, oh, when they're thinking about X, I come to mind, right? So what is it like? Where are you positioning yourself? Where do you want to be positioned? And how are you going to make sure that that comes front of mind? It's interesting with the product listing as well. Often it's not even about reshooting. Often it's even about just making the primary image something different as well, and just having a look and see what it looks like. And again, if you're playing with this, remember to be jumping on your mobile constantly as you do it. So let's say if you've saved in the back end, you've gone, I'm going to reorder my images, and you have a look at it. Make sure you jump over and have a look at it on desktop. Make sure you jump over and have a look at it mobile. And I want to say mobile first, because we know that the larger proportion of customers are looking for things on their mobile. So how it looks on mobile matters. And also, this is a good opportunity for you to have a look and go, well, what are other people doing that I might be missing? And it's not about copying what they're doing with their images, right? To be really clear, especially if you're using Pinterest for inspiration, make sure it's inspiration and not a replica as well. This second idea is something that you might already be doing it and not aware of it, but it's probably something that is building into a little bit more about your strategy in the future for creating products. To give you an example of this, it's about building products based on components, because when we start to think about products as components rather than whole finished pieces, it means it really feeds into how we're able to improve our production of things, but also how we're able to adjust just slightly, but it's not a complete reinvestment of time. And it may mean that there are components that we can use across multiple items. And to give an example, right, with my fashion label that I had, this was an idea with the dresses that I was creating, that I'd come up with like a recipe. And for every recipe, it's kind of like French cooking. It was like, you know, the sauces, the bechamel, the tomate, the balsamic, you know, you've got those base ingredients, and then you could lace on all the other aspects on top. So for me, because I'm a pattern maker originally, so I can draft patterns from scratch, make anything, I can sew anything. But for me, I'd always think about a dress as like components. There was a bodice, there was a skirt, there was a sleeve. And once I had made a fit that where all of those components fit together, it meant that you had one bodice would fit 5 different skirts, one bodice would fit 5 different sleeves, which means when you put that together, you had multiple variations, but yet it meant consistency with sizing, it meant consistency with quality, it meant that the customer could really understand how they could keep buying off me very easily. So the same might come for you when we talk about component. Let's say, for an example, okay, you're doing ceramics. Would you be able to use the same base shape and create different handles? Could you create the same base shape and alter something slightly? But it meant that the customer was already familiar with that. Now, where this works to your advantage is that if you want to create something that's a bit seasonal or topical, right? And when I say topical, I mean that it's relevant to a day, or it's relevant to a date, or to something that comes up which makes it really relevant. Like Valentine's Day is a perfect example. You may not want to create a whole collection that's actually Valentine's Day specific. You might reshoot some of it to be Valentine's Day specific, but also is there something that you could add on? I've got, look, I always have this mug, just handy, Ana Ceramica, but look at this with the love heart handle. Now, this mug though, if we think about this components, right, she's got a specific formula of the glaze, the non-glazed bottom, but then the handle is the add-on. Now, where the beauty in this comes is it makes it a much more repeatable item, but that you can adjust to be suited to a certain time, but without you having to reinvent the wheel each time, right? So same if you're doing an artwork, if you're doing a series, it's like understanding, well, what are the different parts that I layer? How does it work? And how can I repeat it? For me, it's all about recognizing patterns. Once you can recognize patterns, it means you can streamline it and become more, strategic with how you create. And so where this would be, this came up in a conversation with Beck, who's on our team, and also an artisan on Made at Beck Creates. And she was making these teddy bears. And I was saying to her, because they had a particular scarf and stuff, and I was like, what if you didn't finish the teddy bear? What if you had a few of the teddy bears which became your base component, and then you could add on stories on top to make it more suited to the customer, but you wouldn't necessarily actually have to finish them, and you could work a little bit by what would it take me to complete that tiny bit of the order, but I'm not actually, or have it ready to photograph, but I'm not actually changing 10 of them as an example. And it's about going, okay, well, this could be like Teddy going off on an adventure. This could be Christmas Teddy. This could be Valentine's Teddy. And all of a sudden, you've got a piece that can be adapted throughout the year to suit a specific customer, but also to talk about it. It gives it a freshness. And that's how you can take something that you've got existing and really rework it a little bit to be suited for that time. This third one works on a couple of different ways. First of all, it gets your customer to spend more, but it also means that you can potentially collate perhaps items that haven't sold, but also where you might be able to get a bit of a return from them. And it, of course, which I'm sure you probably guessed, is bundling. And what I love about bundling, it's the idea of essentially creating gift packs. So let's say, for an example, I'm just thinking about Beck, for instance, and she's got face scrubbies, and she's got like face washes. There's a few different things that I guess would fall into, and her handmade baskets, right? That would fall into like a pamper gift pack. Now, already in that moment, we've gone from expecting or hoping that your customer is going to search for face scrubbies when they may not know what they are, right? Compared to a pamper gift pack. Right? So you can see how it's already shifted it, but also as well, it means that Beck can potentially put together some of her best sellers and perhaps some of the ones that she's had, which she wants to kind of refresh. And all of a sudden it's in a bundle and a gift pack. Now, straight away, I know that you're jumping to, in your head straight away going, oh, that's a great Valentine's gift. Oh, it's a great Mother's Day gift. Oh, it's a great Christmas gift. And all of a sudden, you've taken existing items. All you're really doing is reshooting, creating a different product page and a different offer, but these are items that you've already got. So it creates that feeling and that momentum of newness without you having to actually having to recreate all the time. Now, as an artisan, as a handmade artisan, I know that you want to be creating all the time, but you want to also leave that space to be able to discover new things as well. But this is a way that you can continue to, with these three ways, right? These are ways that you can continue to maintain your brand and maintain how people recognize you without having to dive into, oh, I've got to create new stuff all the time. Because as much as you think that your customers might be seeing everything that you're doing, it's really unlikely. And actually, in fact, it might have taken them a year to do the decision to, I really want a handmade basket, and all of a sudden you've moved on. So these three tools are a way that you can keep evolving, you can keep growing, but you've still got that brand consistency and you've still got that really beautiful offering. So this is just a touch of, I guess, what we go into in our online courses. They're really juicy and jam-packed, and we have live masterclasses as well. and we've got the Not Getting Enough Sales masterclass, which is coming up, but also Mastering DIY Kits. But I think literally in the Not Getting Enough Sales, there's only 10 spots left. So make sure that you jump over and check it out today. And if you liked this video as well, I would love it if you could like, subscribe, follow, all of the things, and pop a comment down below and let me know if you've tried any of these methods, or perhaps you've tried something else. And I'd love to know where you're watching from as well. So have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.